Okay, so now that we know how to do multiplication and long multiplication, we can extend these ideas into multiplying decimals. And there's a few rules that we go by, and it might seem a little bit, we're not quite sure at first, but when we do some examples, hopefully this will make a little bit of sense. So firstly, we convert our decimals to whole numbers. We then count how many decimal places we shifted them. Okay, that'll make a little bit of sense in a minute. And then we shift our answer back this many places. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's take, say, 0, I'll do it in blue. We'll take 0.7, and I'm going to multiply this by 0.6. Well, first of all, step 1 says that we need to convert these decimals to whole numbers. So the smallest whole number that we're going to make, 0.7, we're going to make that a 7 times, and we're going to make the 0.6 times by 6. So we're shifting this decimal place one spot to the right, and this one spot to the right. So our total number of times that we've shifted decimal places is 2 times, and we'll come back to that later. Well, 7 times 6, that's a times table, we can do that. That's equal to 42, 42.0. And then our decimal place needs to go back, this is number 3, we need to shift our answer back this many decimal places. So we shifted decimal places a total number of 2 times. We're now going to shift it back 1, 2 times. And our final answer gives us 0.42. So let's have a look at another example, but this time it's not going to be as nice as just doing a times table. We're going to have to introduce some of our long multiplication. Okay, so let's come over to this side, and we're going to do 0.04 times by 0.76. Okay, well, what's going on here? First of all, let's convert them to their whole numbers. Let's convert them to whole numbers. Okay, so our 0.04, we're going to make a 4 times, and our 0.76, we're going to make 76. And how have we done that? We've shifted this decimal point 1, 2 places, and this one 1, 2 places. So our total number of times we've moved decimal places is 4 times. So can we do 4 times 76? Well, that's a long multiplication. We've been practicing these. So 76 times by 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 7 times 4 is 28 plus the 2 for 30. So 304. But then what do we have to do to this 304? And if we put our decimal point in, it's going to be 304.0. We have to shift this decimal place back 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and then another time after that. So our answer will be 0.0304. Okay, so let's have a go at another one where this time our long multiplication becomes something that isn't 1 digit. So some of the stuff that we've been practicing already. So for example, we do 0.42, and I'm going to multiply this by 0.85. So let's come in here. Can I make them whole numbers? Well, 1, 2, 1, 2 times makes it 42 times by 85. And the total number of times we've moved decimal places is 4 times. Okay, well, 42 times 85. We've been practicing those, so I'm going to write it over here. 42 times by 85. Well, we're going to take care of the 5 first. So 5 times 2 gives us 10. And 5 times 4 gives us 20, plus the 1 for 21. And then we've dealt with the 5, so we can rub everything out. And we're going to deal with the 8. Before we deal with the 8, we put our 0 here. 8 times 2 gives us 16, and we carry the 1. 8 times 4 gives us 32, plus 1 for 33. Add these numbers up, 0, 7, 5, 3. And where do we have to move our decimal point? We have to move it back 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and our answer becomes 0.3570. okay? Let's look at one more. Let's come over here and let's do something like 0.72, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.185. Okay, so what happens here? Well, let's convert them to whole numbers. So 1, 2 times, and this one goes 1, 2, 3 times. So total number of times we've moved decimal places 5 times. We'll come back to that right at the end. So what are we doing now? 72 times 185. Again, we've been practicing these. So let's go 185 times by 72. Well, we deal with our 2 first. So 2 times 5 gives us 10, carrying the 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus the 1 for 17. 2 times 1 here gives us 2, plus the 1 for 3. And then we can get rid of all of that because we're finished with the 2. We're now going to deal with the 7. Before we deal with the 7, we put our 0 in. 7 times 5 is 35, so carry the 3. 7 times 8, 56, plus the 3 is 59. 7 times 1 is 7, plus the 5 for 12. And we add these numbers up, we get 0, 7 plus 5 is 12, carrying the 1. 9 plus 3 is 12, plus the 1 for 13. 1 plus 2 is 3, and 1 plus 0 is 1. But how many times do we have to move our decimal point back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So our answer becomes 0.1330. Okay, and we could just write this as 0.1332 because we don't have to put these zeros on the end. So that's dealing with multiplying decimals. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.